Hangouts. Oh, darn base. Okay. So I want to start by us all kind of saying what we've worked on for the past week, what our priorities have been for the past week, and what value you've created in your network, as well as what you want to prioritize for the week ahead. Just because I feel like there's some really great things that people are working on that don't get shared. And also it's good for your own accountability just to put those things into existence by like saying them out loud, as cheesy and fluffy as that sounds. So whoever wants to start can. Just, it doesn't have to be anything lengthy. Just general overview. Hey, this is what I've done in the past week. This is what I want to get done before our next hangout type of a deal.
I can go first. So I've been talking to the chapter presidents at the schools that we have here in Utah, trying to push them to register for YALCON. And so that's been one of the main things that I've done this past week. And then also pegging down those second and third contacts, trying to find second and third contacts for schools that we don't have any. I got super excited. So I'm doing the Coke internship program. And so one of the guys in the class, there are like 90 of us, but one of the guys mentioned something that led me to realize that he was from Utah. And so he goes to UVU, which is like the college right next to BYU. But he's going to be gone for the fall, but I'm excited. We were just like on the chat, like talking privately, looking to get him plugged in. So that was a win for the day.
Awesome. Cool. And what do you want to work on going forward before our next hangout? What's a few concrete things you want to get done?
Making sure that by end of day tomorrow, I have like finally those second, third contacts in for like every university that we have a chapter at, and then have a chapter either created or activated by Hangout next week.
Cool. All right, and Daniel, so I'm just going to read off Daniel's because he texted me because his mic is not working. But he says, I've been working on getting the CPs in my network acquainted, and I'm working on hopefully getting at least 2 chapters activated this month. And at least is in caps, so that's awesome. Cool. All right, Marcus, do you want to go?
Yeah. So this past week, I focused on graph searching for starting a chapter, and also I found 3 or 4 people among different chapters in Kansas and the University of New Orleans that want to join the chapters. So my goal for the next week is to get UNO and Wichita State activated, because I have 2 people at Wichita State that want to join, or 3 actually, and 2 at UNO. So I think I can get it activated by the end of next hangout.
Fantastic. Yeah, I like that. And whenever we're going through it, everyone's contributions were great. Just going forward, because you kind of did this on the fly. Whenever we go through and we do this at the beginning of Hangouts, just make sure that you have something like Marcus, how he said, this is the chapter I'm working on. This is kind of my status here. The more specific that you can get and outlining exactly what you want to get done, and kind of giving the how behind that is going to, help you out a lot when you're goal setting in general. So that's fantastic. But cool. I don't know where Baze and Mike are, but whenever they get on, I'll have them just kind of butt in and say theirs. I do want to give shout outs to 2 people. One is Joe, who's not on the Hangout, but he will watch this after. He can't be on Hangouts at all this summer. So just so everyone knows, he's not just perpetually missing Hangouts. He cannot be on. So Joe, I want to give a shout out to you because it's very clear that his network is just exploding. Also, I appreciate his follow through when he creates chapters. There are chapters that are activated and that are currently active in our network. And that is exactly what we want. He's the first state chair on our team to earn the 5 chapters activated and mobilized bonus in the semester, which is great. And it's honestly very doable. And there's something that he's providing his network where people are seeing the value in it, and it's just really taking off. So Joe, hats off to you. That's a great accomplishment. And I also want to give a shout out to Daniel as well, because of all of us, he's really risen to the occasion. Every month so far that he's been a state chair, he's gotten at least 1 chapter in, and that's been in the first week or 2 of the month. And as I'm talking to people in the San Antonio area, it's clear that they're really feeling connected to the network that he's building, and that's something that that area didn't have before. So it's kind of still in its beginning stages, but Daniel, I just really want to acknowledge you for that because I'm seeing progress there. So I do appreciate it. Cool. Of the three of us, is there any other like things that we haven't stated that have either gone well, or shout outs to other team members, anything that we do want to acknowledge before we get started here?
One cool thing that happened that's not really me, but the Louisiana just passed a free speech bill that makes free speech zones illegal. So
Hey,
that is
that's
huge.
a big
that's
win.
awesome.
How did I miss that? Alex was literally losing his mind last night over that. That is fantastic. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm super excited.
And when does that go into effect? Is that as of like right now, speech zones are gone, or is there any like?
From what I understand, next semester schools can't have them.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah,
it
and
makes me so excited.
yeah, and it's like perfect. It follows exactly what we want the like kind of law to be. Like even organizations that are forming that haven't been approved by the university can't have any of their speech restricted. So yeah, it's great. I'm really excited about the bill.
Oh, well, shout out to everyone, you, Marcus, and then oh, another thing I forgot to say is Caleb has an internship this summer, so he's taking a leave of absence, so everyone knows he's not just perpetually missing too. But for Marcus, Caleb, Joe, and your entire network there, Baze, and the entire network that's really worked diligently on free speech efforts, like hats off to you guys because it's a long time coming and it's a huge victory. So that's awesome. Cool. Hey, Mike, how are you doing?
All right, I had to come in like
I'm looking.
using my regular Google account. For some reason, my Google account wasn't working.
Okay, no worries. Thank you for being on. And your voice is a little bit muffled, but I did have everyone go through and say what they worked on this week that worked for them, some victories that they've had in the past week, and then priorities for the week ahead before our next hangout. So if you just want to briefly remark on that, that'd be great.
Absolutely. If you can't...
Okay, I can't hear you. Is everyone else kind of getting that muffled a little bit? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. When you watch this recording, you're gonna realize how funny you sound. If you just want to text me or put it in the like chat thing to the side here, that'd be great, and then I can just say it out loud. And everyone, I'm sorry that Hangouts is having issues, but let's make sure. Maybe I'll just give the link out a little bit earlier so that we can make sure that we are all on time and with good connection or whatever. But it may be a Hangouts issue. I don't know. Okay. Okay. So awesome. Let's get started here. So first thing that I want to say is it's becoming very clear that there's kind of a division of chairs. People are either falling into one bucket or the other. The first one is that there are some chairs on our team that are really like rising to the occasion of like summer recruitment. Like chapters are becoming activated, networks are becoming connected, and like just a lot of progress is being made. And then there's some people on our team that quite honestly, I feel like the pace is slowing down. And we're getting a little bit complacent with like either doing the bare minimum or, like, I mean, look at your activism and, not calling anyone out, but just like remark on kind of what you've done so far this summer. I'm sure that there are people that your potential is way higher than what your output is currently. So general message being just don't fall behind and like don't let off the gas. I know that for a lot of us that have been on for like a semester or two, it's very easy to kind of look at this as your part-time job. And it's so important for us all just to stay connected to the fact that like this is a movement that we're a part of. Like we are the liberty movement, quite frankly. And, we're the ones that are like really changing the political landscape. And especially with all of this Operation One at the Door stuff that's just ramping up, like it's inspiring and we are making a difference here. So I just really want everyone to feel connected to that and feel like they're playing an active role in what we're doing here, which is something really awesome. So that kind of came out a little bit jumbled, but just like rule of thumb, just make sure that you're on the ball, and it's never too late to turn things around this month. So I understand that last month there was a little bit of an adjustment period with classes ending and everything like that, but this month is a perfect time to turn it around. So cool. I do actually want to talk real quick about contact 2 and 3s. So this is something that was brought up a few weeks ago, and honestly, like, we're not seeing enough progress in contact 2 and 3. So it means one of two things. It means either first that contact 2 and 3s don't exist at chapters that are active, which is scary, and that actually means that the chapters aren't active. If there's not 3 current active people that are in those chapters and can be listed as contact 2 and 3, or 2 that we just don't know who those people are, which is equally scary. You know, and you're managing quite a few chapters, some of you, but it's imperative that you know who the vice president or even, leadership team is there. So if those 2 exist and you just don't know who they are, that's another scary thing. Or 3, that they do exist and you know who they are, but we just haven't done it yet, which is another kind of not great thing. So I don't know which one of those it is, and if anyone wants to kind of like kind of say what their situation is there, that might give me a little more clarity. But from what I'm seeing, like, we're probably going to have to mark down quite a few active chapters to newly forming if those just don't exist, if those contacts don't exist. So does anyone want to say anything on that? Okay. Okay. So that's fine. I sent out a mail merge to almost all of the chapters, at least the ones that are active, just asking for a secondary and third contact. I did get quite a few responses back, and I filled in the ones that I did get responses on, but there's still some A chapters where we don't have contact 2 and 3s, which to me is like, okay, we're just not filling them in. So whenever you can, so that I do have an accurate idea, and it's never great to be put on the spot, so it's okay that you don't want to say anything about it. Just if there are contact 2 and 3s that that are not plugged in, please go in after this hangout and do so, because it's going to come to a point where we're just going to be marking a lot of chapters down, and I don't want to have to do that and make your network look weaker than it actually is, just because contacts aren't being filled in. And again, the why behind that is that with chapter attrition, 9 times out of 10, if you have a second contact to reach out to, the chapter's not going to fall off the map. If there's someone else that you can reach out to besides contact 1, because I'm sure everyone's been in the situation where it's been so frustrating that a chapter leader has stepped down or just has gone completely silent, and there's like no one else that we know to reach out to. So this is our fail safe, and summer's the time to do it. So let's just make sure that we get those up to date. So another thing that I want to go through, and honestly I don't have that many things, so we're going to be done pretty quickly, but I want to go through new expectations. I know that it's been said on the 2 calls that Matt has had, but I want to make sure that we're all clear on what expectations are. So again, you can either activate a chapter or you can create a chapter. So those are your 2 options. You have to choose 2 of them, which is a really confusing way of saying it. You can either create 2 chapters, you can activate 2 chapters, or you can create and activate a chapter. And basically any chapter that isn't activated is eligible to be activated as part of your expectations for the month. So look at your state, because it's going to be different. For example, like in Texas, there's still quite a few like A-tier targets that we don't have chapters in. So it'd be really valuable to create chapters, generally speaking, but there are quite a few that need to be activated too. Whereas some states, are almost tapped out, but they need quite a few activations. So we can go through on one-on-ones and just prioritize, what's going to be most valuable. But those are expectations. Does anyone have any questions? Because I feel like I didn't explain it great. And if you do, just speak up and I can try to put it in a different way. Okay. What are people generally going for? 2 activations, 2 creations, or 1 creation and 1 activation?
I'm going for 1 activation, 1 chapter creation.
Okay, cool.
I'm going for the 2 activations.
Sweet. And then, okay, so Mike and Daniel can't really talk. That's okay. So again, we'll go through it on one-on-ones. But okay, everyone's clear though. That's good. Oh, same as Andrew. Okay, thank you, Daniel. Sweet. Okay, cool. And I want to go through one more time what active means and what it doesn't mean. So there have been state chairs in the past who will remain nameless and who aren't on our team anymore that activated chapters by literally getting 2 people that are interested in YAL involved, having them pay dues, like selling them on YAL, but then not connecting the 3 people together that activated the chapter. And that is the single worst thing that you can do for obvious reasons, because the point of activation, right, is to get over that hump of having a few people that are interested and to really grow the network. So to be clear, I follow up with everyone that pays dues, and I would love to hear that those people are connected with the chapter president or the chapter president and the first dues payer if there's 2 people. And in order to get an activation bonus, contact 2 and 3 do need to be filled out with the relevant information for the people that are activating the chapter. So just a general note to you, that'll be really helpful, just organizationally as well. But so that's what active mean. Active doesn't necessarily mean that you only have like a few people that paid dues, but those people need to be connected and like truly bought into growing the chapter. And that is something that I do audit. So just keep that in mind. Cool. So that's all of the concrete points that I had to cover. There's just one more thing though. With us kind of pivoting to Win at the Door being our end goal of, you know, all of the things that we're creating with YAL, for us to elect 250 state reps and change the political landscape, there are some changes that are happening with our field program and really with how YAL operates as an organization. And I can tell you that like the way that YAL looks now, it probably will be quite a bit different in the fall. Not to leave that too ambiguous, there's just not a lot of details that I can share about that. But what I will say, so that you can get a head start now, is that state chairs' performance will be directly tied to members more than chapters. So, and again, none of this is necessarily set in stone, but something that we're really pivoting to is a member-based approach to building a grassroots organization rather than a chapter-based. And it doesn't mean that we won't have chapters. We definitely will. But if you've got, so say one state chair has, you know, 10 chapters, but none of them are active, and it's like literally, you know, 12 people that you might be overseeing that are, you know, paid dues paying members that are bought into YAL. And another state chair has 10 chapters, but, you know, one of those has like 30 regular members, and, you know, you are overseeing like a base of 100 people. Those 2 state chairs are going to be compensated differently. All right. So like, this is something that I want us to get started on now, is making sure that the chapters that you have are robust and growing, because there's a difference between UL Lafayette and some other chapters that are just getting started. And we want chapters like Lafayette rather than chapters like one guy that like kind of wants to do YAL but like won't get his act together, right? So like with activation, take this seriously. Make sure that you're knowing more than just the first contact, which should go without saying, but really grow your chapters to be strong. And this is the time to do it, right? Because we're not having to worry about activism events. Graph Search can be primarily dedicated to activating chapters, and it serves the movement better. It serves our new kind of direction of getting people mobilized onto these campaigns and eventually getting people to run for state rep. We'd rather smaller, robust networks than larger networks that, you know, aren't having as much activism or an impact. So hopefully that makes sense. I know it's a little bit vague, and you'll have more concrete details at LTS. But I just really want to make sure that you're focusing on activation seriously, because it's really going to serve you well in the fall, and going forward. So, and with that, please keep an open mind with how you're running your states. And some people have been extremely successful in this. So I'm like really wanting to know what Louisiana is doing that's working, because we can restructure what the state chair program looks like. Like, we're literally evaluating everything from like, you know, our like, is like YALCON necessary to like, oh, is the chapter model necessary? Like, everything is kind of up for negotiation. And so if you have a model that you think works, or any feedback for me or for Yal about what's working and what's not working, I just want you to know that that line of communication is open. And that's something that I definitely encourage, you know, all of you. Those are conversations that I want to have, of like, all right, how do we take Yal to the next level? Because just because things have always been the way that they are doesn't necessarily mean that they're stuck in that way. So if there's things that are working, practices that are working in your state, you know, really whatever, I want to know about them. And if there's, you know, on the flip side, if there's things that we're doing that are not creating value for you, if you told me, Brittany, if us getting on a Hangout for 40 minutes a week isn't creating any value, isn't advancing our mission, I would say, all right, well, let's look at it and figure out if it's a good step that we're taking, or if it's necessary or not necessary. If you said like, let's organize the chapters doc differently and include this information and disinclude this information, really, like, whatever feedback you have, I want, is like what I'm trying to say here. So let's keep that line of communication open. If you have any ideas, please let me know. And for now, really focus on creation and activation. And I say this every month, but I'm kind of like cutting through some of the bullshit here. Like, we need to get activations and creations soon. Like, we can't have another month like last month. And I'm not trying to like ream anyone, because I know that last month was difficult for some people with your own individual circumstances. But you know, I want a team that's fired up and ready to take action and committed to the mission of YAL. And I know that you guys are those people. So just let's take this seriously, and let's take Great Plains region to the next level. So with that, if you have to go, definitely go. If you have any questions, stay on. And if not, I'll see you guys next week. I can't see anyone's faces, which is sad.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. Hey. Okay. You guys can't talk, so I'm just gonna, I'll end the broadcast. Bye.